Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I don't think talkSPORT have heard the expression self-praise is no praise, because they posted a 20-minute video today entitled Simon Jordan backs Tyson Fury to beat Usyk in intellectual debate being in block capitals, with Duke McKenzie, who disagrees in block capitals. Intellectual debate. Okay. Oh, there you go. So what this consisted of was Simon Jordan saying he thinks Fury will beat Usyk in the rematch. When asked why, he said, because I think he's got the ability to dig deep. Okay. The only other thing that he said that I suppose to some degree, I don't know, it was valid, is that he said, we don't know how much has been taken out of Usyk in the first fight. Well, I did a video about that same point. I think G-Man mentioned it as well in his video. Lee at Inside the Distance mentioned it. Yes, we don't know how much has been taken out of Usyk. And we always have to play devil's advocate to cover every possibility of what could unfold. Now, is it impossible that Fury beats Usyk in the rematch? Of course it isn't. It's perfectly feasible. But I think Usyk has to start as a very hot favourite. I'm not going to do a prediction at the moment, but the third party in this little debate that was going on was Spencer Oliver, who had picked Fury to win, but was kind of sitting on the fence. And in fairness to Spencer, he did say, look, you have to wait until, fight week. And you have, as we get close to the fight, things can develop and you can see things that you hadn't previously noticed. And so, yeah, those are valid points. This is why you don't make a prediction, a solid prediction, a final prediction, if you like, until a few days before the fight. And even then, things can change. You just don't know. You get the weigh-in, someone comes in overweight, or whatever. But the only one who appeared to be putting forward a solid explanation as to why he thought one fighter would win was Duke McKenzie, who is by far the most knowledgeable sounding, probably the most knowledgeable pundit that I've heard on talkSPORT. He's a very softly spoken guy, Duke. In case you don't know, he's a three-weight world champ. He held the IBF flyweight title, the WBO bantamweight title and WBO super bantamweight title, I think, back in the 90s. Extremely underrated, often forgotten British fighter. Very, very knowledgeable. Softly spoken. Not the most charismatic of guys, because he is very softly spoken, but he knows boxing. He knows his stuff, and he talks a lot of sense. And he says that he believes straight off the bat, 100% Usyk's going to win this fight. And he predicted that Usyk would, like I did and quite a few others, that Usyk would win the first fight. Now, what does he base this on? He says that Fury... Well, let's start with Fury's conditioning. He's up and down like a horse draws as far as the weight goes, and that takes it out of you. That actually cuts years off your athletic career. You've got to live the life. Usyk, as we know, one of the guys during this debate mentioned Usyk as being like Bernard Hopkins, in that he really does live the life, treats his body like the proverbial temple. If Tyson Fury treats his body like a temple, it's one that's up for urban renewal, because he puts on multiple stone at a time, takes it off. And Duke was saying that's no good. That's absolutely no good. Fury's team have indicated that Fury will come in heavier, deliberately heavier, and will therefore be able to sort of manhandle Usyk more. Now, I wouldn't entirely dismiss certain aspects of that argument, because I think coming in a bit too heavy is certainly better than boiling yourself down to a weight quickly and leaving yourself weakened and lacking in stamina or lacking in punch resistance. I think if you're going to carry a bit too much weight, it's not always a bad thing. Muhammad Ali used to say you should always carry a few pounds of fat to burn it off in the later rounds of a particularly arduous fight. And that type of tactic, mentality, that type of conditioning may have got him through fights such as the third Frazier fight, where he came as close to death as he had previously been. That's how he phrased it, or Frazier did. Boom, boom. But yeah, coming in a bit heavier. Does this? Duke was saying this slows him up. This will slow up Fury. This will mean he's not, the slippery, slidey guy that he likes to be in his prime. But then, as Duke said, he's over the hill in terms of that. We won't see that Tyson again. And Jordan was saying, yeah, well, I think he beat Wilder 3 times, which essentially he did, even though the first one was a draw. And I think he'll come back. He's now we've now seen him beaten, so that's new experience for him. And just to cut Simon Jordan a bit of slack, in the past when Fury's back has been against the wall, he has shown himself to be mentally very, very strong and capable of coming back and pulling off upsets. Now, you can even apply that to the first Usyk fight, because he had the living tar whipped out of him in that 9th round and was all but stopped. I mean, if the referee had stepped in, would anyone have complained? They couldn't have done. Well, Fury would have complained and Warren would have complained, but that's what they're there for. But, rounds 10, 11, 12, he went the distance. He got battered literally from pillar to post, literally, and survived the next 3 rounds. So let's not make any mistake. Fury is a fighting man, definitely, a true fighting man, and handles the big event very, very well. Very well. Don't forget, obviously, he beat Klitschko in Dusseldorf. He beat Wilder. All 3 fights against Wilder in America. So he travels well. He's got a job to do, and he does it. And he's a true fighting man, definitely, Fury. But as Duke McKenzie was saying, he hasn't lived a life. Too many miles on the clock for someone that hasn't lived that life. Because don't forget, he hasn't had that many more fights than Usyk, but the difference is palpable. And again, you have to say, okay, that first fight was pretty arduous for Usyk as well. Has it taken anything out of him? He is chronologically older than Fury, even though physically he's much younger. So we can't dismiss that entirely, can we? But I've got to say, Duke's argument was very convincing, and he's absolutely adamant. He says when Spencer Oliver asked him, so do you think Usyk's definitely going to win? Duke's reply was 100%, 100%. And in fairness to Duke, he hasn't been wrong many times, has he? He is very knowledgeable, and he also made the point that early on in your career, if you lose, you can learn from it, but learning from it takes, a number of fights. You've got to go back, work on a few things, recognize what you did wrong, what you did but shouldn't have done, what you didn't do but should have done, and then over a period of time, maybe 18 months, 2 years, whatever it is, or a year maybe, you implement what you're learning. Once you're a veteran and you're at elite level, you can't really change your tact. You can't really change your style much. You might be able to tweak it a little bit with certain things, maybe tactically. Certainly, you can work on the mental side of things. But again, Fury doesn't really, even though he's supposedly bipolar and all the rest of it, when he gets in the ring, that is kind of his sanctuary. He does know how to control himself. So I don't know. I think Spencer Oliver sat on the fence pretty much. He was hedging his bets, and in fairness, he admitted it. Simon Jordan has always been very much a pro-Fury guy, really quite biased towards Fury, which is his great weakness. He's not. He can be anything but objective, Simon Jordan, which is a great shame, because occasionally when he is being objective, when he's got no axe to grind with Eddie Hearn or AJ or whatever, he can talk some sense. But the one without question on talkSPORT who talks the most sense, who is the most listenable, who you actually shut up and listen to because you think you might learn something, is Duke McKenzie. And go and have a listen, see what you think. This, like I say, this is about 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes long, this little debate. Go and see what you think. Anyway, Thank you very much for listening to this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button if you don't mind, because you'll be helping us out a great deal, and it don't cost you a penny, does it? It just takes a second to pop that subscription and hit the like button. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I always appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to reading your comments, your opinions, and the weekend's here. That's never a bad thing. Bye for now.